So we are back in my apartment. I am so very happy. I have a new blog about to be coming out, so be on the lookout for that. So I've been seeing these clips of this show called Little Fires Everywhere on the reels through Facebook Reels and Instagram Reels and all of that. And I had to dive into it. Like I took interest just from the reels. So I just got done watching the first episode and I wanted to give my thoughts on this very first episode and what I say if it's a hit or a miss on a show to watch. Now it's based off a book and it's really a lot different from the research I done, but it's also a lot same as well. Um, again, but if you're new here, hit that like button, ring that bell for notifications. Also, please subscribe, help a girl out. But I want to go start by reading off my notes. So, Little Fires Everywhere, it takes place with two different families, the Richardson family and the Warren family. Completely two different families. And it takes place ideally with the Richardson being like this picture perfect glass house family. You know what I'm talking about? With Alina clearly being the suburban mom who wants the perfect life for all her children, has high expectations for them, um, and everything. It takes place in Shaker, Ohio. And Alina is married. She has four children. With her husband Bill, Lexi, Moody, Trip, and Izzy. Um, and it's clear from the very beginning of the show that she is at odds with her youngest daughter Izzy. Like you can clearly tell, like Izzy is the outcast of her family. I will stand by that. She's a 12-year-old teenager. What's more to be expected from that? But the beginning of the show opens up with the Richardson family house on fire and a cop trying to figure out who did it. But here's the interesting part. The children all go on to say before the cop talks to them, like, she will find a way to blame Izzy. Now, I know in the book who started the fire is different from who ends the fire, and I'm not going to say it in case you're interested in it or if you're wanting to watch it and everything, and everything. But, now I want to talk about briefly about the Warrens for a minute. Here comes Mia and Pearl Warren. Warren. They move around every 2 months. Mia is an artist. Alina is about 16, 15, 16. She's a sophomore at Shaker High School, and everything. And Alina will spot their car, and the police, will go check it out. Now, there's a very shady about that one to begin with. First of all, I could tell that Alina was that mom, that she was set in her ways. You know what I'm talking about. But Mia and Pearl find a duplex to go check out, and it's clear that they're homeless. They're brushing their teeth and stuff in a grocery store and everything else. So, they go check it out. Alina is the one who's leasing the apartment. This is how they are connected to each other, and everything. So after a month to month like thing and everything, going back and forth, it was unclear if they got it. But however, when Alina discovers that it was the same car that she spotted, she rents this to him on the spot, which goes to a family dinner, where Alina is clearly has to go back to find out that her daughter Izzy skips orchestra practice and everything. And there's like a whole scene in the bedroom where it's about how expensive the orchestra is and everything else, and how they could have took a trip to Nantucket for a week and everything. Um, but she also compares Izzy to her other children. You can clearly tell. Lexi is this perfect daughter. Trip is the perfect son. Moody is, the awkward teenager and everything. And then there's Izzy, the rebellious one, the one who's defying her odds. And it's clear that Izzy is a loner and outcast in society, especially in society and her friends. But she forms a special bond with Mia. I will get to that one a little bit later. But holds all her children to high expectations. With me, like, and she's also, I feel like she's a closeted racist. I really do. Her character is, and everything. But now, whereas you see, now let's flip it to where we see Mia and Pearl have a different relationship. Their relationship is more loving. She doesn't hold her daughter to like a high standard. I think that's the artist in her coming out, where like she loves her daughter. She sees her daughter for who she is and lets her and accepts her for that, and everything. But yeah, I also want to point out that Alina during the scene where like Alina is trying to get them to get the apartment and everything, where She points out that Shaker is one of the first integrated schools and says that the only reason she knows that is because her mom was on the board who approved it and everything. Um, Now Moody meets Pearl and they become friends. Now I have a feeling Moody and Pearl, I haven't seen the whole series yet, so you can come back later. You can find me later and I'll try to get a episode 2 in as soon as I can. I just have a lot going on at the moment. But Elena and now Moody meets Pearl and I have a feeling that they will become a friends to lovers trope, maybe, and everything. With, the boy next girl, girl next door trope and everything. And it jumps to a scene where Elena is dropping Izzy off at orchestra and she's talking to her daughter and everything. And she points out that there's her friend April, who she hasn't seen in a while. And she wonders why. And then she points out all how everybody else is dressing and everything and notices like the big changes. And then she tries to tell her daughter, your hair is really your best feature and everything. And she gets annoyed at that. And it's clear that she's very blind and clueless to the fact that her daughter is going through something. Clearly, Elena is very blind to that. Um, and she's wondering why Izzy isn't friends with April anymore until, for some reason, she has no clue that what's going on with her daughter, and it's clear. Now, there is a scene in particular where Alina is talking to a friend of hers who had a baby. Lexi comes in with the baby, I guess after taking a walk and stuff. And her mom starts and leaves the baby with her mom and a friend. So they go up and they heard Alina hears Lexi screaming. And Izzy, she runs upstairs to find Izzy with a towel on her, finding it like she burnt her hair. In kind of a rebellious thing to her mom. Which I get the symbolism behind that, I do. But come on. Smell of your human hair is disgusting. I'm sorry, I know I'm probably gonna catch a lot of hate for that, but anyway, then so she takes her to get her hair fixed, where she finds Alina, offers her a job. Bill tries to talk some sense into Alina too. Let's go. I skipped that part. But it also, for some reason, she does not like the name Izzy. And it comes to find out that it's not a proper name. And Bill's like, there's Mia names she could have chosen from. But Bill tries to, like I said, Bill tries to talk sense into her and everything. And then there's the scene where Alina takes Izzy to go get her hair fixed and everything. Now here's my thoughts real quick. I actually like the name Izzy for Isabel. It's different and it's cute and I love it. It's also very common too, which I wouldn't name my kid Isabel to begin with, but this was a different time. So we just gotta remember that this book takes place in the 90s, so let's keep that in mind and everything. So she runs into Alina runs into Mia, offers her a job and everything else, and after finding out she works at this restaurant and stuff and everything else. Now, Mia gets a bike to put together for Pearl to surprise her with it, everything. Now, I also want to note that Alina is a suburban housewife and tries to talk to Mia, but ends up offending her. See, in her mind, she's not offending her. She's trying to be helpful and everything else. Now, but it's clear that Alina is somebody of her ways. Like I said that earlier, and I will stand by that. She's unaware of Moody is friends with Pearl, and that he's been hanging out over there. So let's fast forward now to where Moody and Pearl go to his house, and she invites him up, walks in and stuff, and everything else, and she's completely mesmerized by the house. Like I've seen the interior of that house, and even though it's a set, oh my gosh, that house is gorgeous. I want a house like that. But oh, like Alina invites Pearl for dinner. She calls Mia and everything, and she tries to make conversation with Mia, and she just keeps blowing her off. So, Moody and Pearl walk into the family TV room where the kids are laying there and the kids are picking on Mia. I mean, picking on Izzy and everything. And she gets upset and she starts to storm off and everything. So she goes up to her room, clearly upset and mad. And then dinner is like, they feel like, they make fun of Izzy's haircut, which I thought her haircut was cute and adorable. And even it was clear when Elena was taking her to get her hair fixed that, they were gonna have disagreements on the haircut in general, about what type of haircut to get. Now, Lexi lets Pearl take Izzy's spot over after picking on her. And I also feel like Izzy is the outcast of family, that no one truly understands her. And I feel like at some point we've all been the outcast of our family and everything. But Lexi is also showing signs, I feel like, of being a mini Alina. Because she's trying to be this perfect image and trying to be what her mom wants her to be. Like she's dating this guy, and she's trying to be as modern as she can. But at the same time, it's like she's trying to be what her mom wants her to be, and everything else, and everything. Now, Alina is clear, like at the dinner, that Alina has taken an interest in Pearl. Hmm. And she is clearly bonded with her, and she gives her a ride home. So I also really want to point out there's this. So we're gonna skip forward to the next day, where Moody buys Pearl a bike, which that honestly makes my heart melt. Like I can tell, like they're good. They're good. They have a love story developing. I can tell automatically, but I could be wrong. I don't want to make assumptions. Now he takes her to a junkyard where he has a van there that he likes to hide out. And he has a place for away from his family, which coming from a family like that, I feel like you had to have a place of your own to just escape, where you don't have to deal with anything that's going on in general. So now in this one scene, it's gonna get a little bit confusing here for a minute, okay? Um, we're gonna start off with a scene where Elena walks into Izzy's room, finding her wearing an quote unimproving unquote outfit. And I personally thought the outfit was kind of cute myself. I mean, I would totally wear it if I was that age, if I didn't have controlling parents. But she makes her daughter put on the dress for the orchestra and everything. So while at the orchestra, now let's jump to the orchestra scene. Now Izzy runs into her former friend April in the bathroom, and she asks why they aren't friends anymore. And she responds with "You know why, freak," and walks out. So did something happen? I really want to know what happened there. I haven't read the book, and I really feel like I should read the book to get more of understanding and everything. But what do y'all think on that? Should I read the book? Now, it then goes to Pearl reading a poem to Moody while the orchestra is seen playing. Now this is where she is not playing. Lexi looks at her mom, and they're like clearly wondering like why is she not playing? We spent all this money on her, and why is she not playing? Elena is clearly confused, and it then goes back to Izzy putting the dress on. Then the bathroom scene I just told you about, where she's writing "Not Your Puppet." And Moody and Pearl leave after a light scares them. Izzy shows up with her mom, shows her mom that she wrote while Pearl and Moody get called. Alina gets a call while Mia is being followed by somebody. She pulls into her driveway nervously. When seeing the police. So she gets out and see Pearl looking out. She's like, "Okay, what's going on? Why is my daughter getting out of a police car?" She sees Moody gets out. Alina pulls up, and it's a good thing that the police officer, security guard, or whatever was a good friend of theirs, because the security guard called him and everything else. So, nope, no charges were pressed, nothing like that. And Alina tries to save Pearl from being yelled at by Mia, and Mia has to point out that the difference between their race, and she starts talking about moving again. And Pearl fights with her about their lifestyle, how she just wants to stay in one place, which I get wanting to stay in one place, like stability. Now, I also read that Kerry Washington is one of the producers on the show. So she wanted to show how, because in the book it doesn't really talk about racial issues, whereas she wanted to point out, and I read that the author of the book didn't really want to talk about the black experience whatsoever, which I thought was pretty neat. And Kerry Washington wanted to show that side. Now, now, let's talk about the after that night. Okay, so remember when Izzy, I told you, wrote "Not Your Puppet"? So, um, Alina goes to try to talk to Izzy. She literally stops at her door, and Izzy clearly sees her feet there at the door, and she's like, "Please open. I want you to come in." And I think this is struggling for her idea that her life is not perfect. Her daughter is not like her and constantly rebelling against her. And Izzy is disappointed when her mom walks away. And I personally feel like Izzy represents Alina if she would have just chosen a different path in life, honestly. Now, at the same time, Mia is trying to keep it all together. Same time. Well, hold on one second. So her daughter is not like her. Now, Alina ends up walking away from her daughter's room, and Izzy gets disappointed when her mom walks away. Like, you can clearly tell that this is where she really wanted to talk her mom to come in there, and they talk it out. Um, but at the same time, Mia is trying to keep it together while Pearl is crying. I also feel like this is almost a Georgia and Ginny situation, but I can possibly be wrong on this one. Um, Now, Lexi is clearly a definition of this perfect daughter from a perfect family, like a whole glass house. We all know a glass house family, and what happens when that little glass house shatters? It breaks. Now, let's fast forward next day or a couple of days later. Izzy is spray painting something with a Sharpie still on her face, and Mia takes a picture of her painting. She forms a bond with Izzy, recommending a spray paint and letting her know that we artists have to stick together. And this makes Izzy happy because she finally feels like she's found someone who gets her, not like her family gets her. She then goes inside to get Pearl, ends up looking around. She sees her daughter is making friends and going through emotions, and Mia is going through emotions in her head. So she gets Pearl, they go to leave, and Alina's pulling up. She sends Pearl to the car, and she accepts Alina's offer as the new as their house manager. Now, Alina is clearly upset that Isabel is spray painting in her yard and everything else. So, on the car ride home, Mia tells her daughter that she should stop by a paint. They should stop by a paint store and pick up a quart of paint. Pearl takes the gesture and hugs her mom. This is kind of symbolic, like her mom saying, "Okay, I promise you, we will stay here for a year," because that was like a big deal for them. I mean, I don't know if I said that earlier, and I probably don't think I did, but because she wanted to stay for at least a year in one place, and I get that. But Elena starts to follow up with Mia's former landlord. When Pearl and Mia get back to the apartment, she shows her a bike that she built for her, and it makes Pearl so happy. Ugh. Now, Alina and Bill do an unplanned date night on a Saturday instead of a Thursday, because that's their schedule date night. And it also shows that Mia had a relationship in New York with another woman while having nightmares in her life and on a sub in New York. It also shows that Izzy is playing with fire in her quite literally. Could be a possibility of a psychopath being informed, but that's just my thought on that psychopath part. But Alina gets a phone call in that she is confused when the former landlord has not heard of Mia Warren before. And Mia has picture develops and it shows like who is this Alina? So she starts doing research into her own self as well. But oh my gosh, so here's my question. Would I recommend this show? Yes, I would totally recommend the show. Um, I love Reese Witherspoon. I love Kerry Washington, Joshua Jackson, even though I still see him as Pacey Withers. I can't help it. But I totally would recommend the show. I think this is an excellent show of a show set in its time for sure, with some of the technology in the show, everything in the settings as well. But that is it. I will try to get another update for episode 2 of Little Fires Everywhere, but I do recommend going and watch it. And what do y'all think? Should I read the book? Should I go read the book to see if I find some discrepancies and everything? But let me know.